Good morning/afternoon/evening, everyone. Let me tell you something. Life ain't always going to be smooth. Storms will come, pressure will rise, and problems will knock at your door like uninvited guests. But let me ask you this. When trouble shows up, do you panic or do you stay calm and take control? Because the truth is, your mind is like a muscle. The more you train it to be calm, the stronger it gets. Next time something upsets you, don't react immediately. Take a deep breath. Count to 5 if you have to, because a calm mind makes better decisions than an emotional mind. See, life will test you. It will throw situations at you that push your patience to the limit. Maybe it's a rude person. Maybe it's bad news. Maybe it's something not going your way. And in that moment, your first instinct might be to snap, to lash out, or to get frustrated. But here's the truth. The moment you react emotionally, you give up your control. You let the situation dictate your mood, your words, and your actions. That's not power. That's weakness. Real strength comes from knowing how to pause. Think about it. How many times have you said or done something in anger only to regret it later? How many times has a quick reaction cost you a friendship, an opportunity, or even your peace? A few seconds of calm can save you from hours, days, or even years of regret. Because once words are spoken, you can't take them back. Once a decision is made in anger, it's hard to undo the damage. That's why mastering the art of the pause is so important. When you feel yourself getting worked up, stop. Close your eyes if you have to. Take a slow breath in and out. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my energy? Is this something I need to react to, or can I handle it differently? When you do this, something powerful happens. You shift from reacting emotionally to responding wisely. You create space between the situation and your reaction, and in that space you find clarity. The pause is your secret weapon in every situation. When someone disrespects you, pausing keeps you from stooping to their level. When bad news hits, pausing keeps you from making fear-based decisions. When challenges arise, pausing helps you see solutions instead of just problems. A pause is not weakness, it's strategy. It's the sign of someone who is in control of themselves, not controlled by emotions. Now, I'm not saying it's always easy. We're human, we get frustrated, we get hurt, we get angry. But just like any skill, the more you practice, the better you get. Start small. Next time you're stuck in traffic, instead of honking and cursing, pause. Next time someone says something to irritate you, instead of snapping back, pause. The more you train yourself to pause, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, it won't just be something you do, it'll be who you are. A person who stays calm no matter what. A person who thinks before they act, a person who chooses peace over chaos, wisdom over impulse, and control over regret. And that right there is real power. You don't wait until a flood to learn how to swim, right? The same way, you don't wait for a crisis to learn how to stay calm. If you want to handle life's storms with grace, you have to train for them before they come. You don't build strength in the middle of a fight. You build it before the fight begins. The key to staying calm in difficult moments is preparing yourself when things are still easy. Think about an athlete. They don't train only on the day of the competition. They put in the work every single day so that when the moment comes, they're ready. Life works the same way. Tough times will come. Unexpected situations, disappointments, setbacks, people testing your patience. If you're not prepared, those moments will shake you, make you panic, and push you into reacting emotionally. But if you've trained yourself to stay calm, even in small, everyday situations, you'll be unshakable when the real storms hit. Start by looking at your daily life. How do you handle small inconveniences? When someone cuts you off in traffic, do you explode with frustration? When a coworker says something annoying, do you lose your cool? When things don't go your way, do you let it ruin your whole day? These little moments are your training ground. Every time you choose patience over irritation, every time you take a deep breath instead of snapping, every time you decide to let something go instead of holding on to anger, you're training your mind. You're teaching yourself how to stay calm. People think big challenges require big preparation, but it's really the small daily habits that make the difference. Just like lifting small weights consistently builds strength over time, handling small frustrations calmly builds mental toughness. The next time something minor irritates you, instead of reacting, pause. Take it as an opportunity to train. Remind yourself this is just practice. If I can stay calm now, I'll be even stronger when bigger challenges come. The best part, the more you train yourself, the more natural it becomes. One day, you'll face a situation that would have normally made you panic, but instead you'll handle it with ease. Not because the situation is easier, but because you are stronger. Because you put in the work ahead of time. Because you trained your mind before the storm ever arrived. And when that happens, you won't just survive life's challenges, you'll master them. There will always be people who test your patience. Some will criticize you, some will doubt you, and some will try to bring negativity into your life just to see how you react. But here's the truth. Nobody should have the power to control your mood except you. The moment you allow someone else's words, actions, or opinions to dictate how you feel, you give them control over your peace, and that's too big of a price to pay. Think about it. How many times have you woken up in a good mood, ready to take on the day, and then someone says something negative or does something annoying, and suddenly your whole energy shifts? You were fine just a minute ago, but now you're frustrated, irritated, or even angry. Why? Because you allowed them to control your emotions. You handed them the remote control to your mood, and they changed the channel on you. That's not the way to live. You have to take that remote back and decide that no one gets to change your frequency except you. The truth is, some people thrive on getting a reaction out of you. They feed off drama. They enjoy pulling others into their negativity. But when you stay calm, when you don't give them the reaction they're looking for, you take away their power. You show them that their words and actions don't move you. And when people realize they can't control your emotions, they eventually stop trying. Now, I'm not saying you won't feel hurt, disappointed, or frustrated at times. That's human. But feeling an emotion and letting it control you are two different things. You can acknowledge how you feel without letting it ruin your whole day. You can recognize someone's negativity without letting it attach itself to you. When someone tries to get under your skin, take a step back and ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this person worth my energy? Do they deserve to have control over my emotions? Most of the time, the answer is no. One of the best ways to protect your mood is by choosing what you focus on. If you focus on what someone said about you, you'll feel angry or insecure. If you focus on how someone mistreated you, you'll feel frustrated. But if you focus on your goals, your growth, and your own energy, you stay in control. You don't let external negativity dictate your internal state. You stay grounded no matter what's happening around you. At the end of the day, your mood is your responsibility. No one can make you angry, upset, or frustrated without your permission. And when you learn to control your emotions instead of letting others control them for you, you become unstoppable. You move through life with peace, confidence, and strength because you know that no matter what people do, they can't shake who you are. There's a big difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is instant, emotional, and often reckless. It's when you let your feelings take over and say or do something without thinking. Responding, on the other hand, is thoughtful, controlled, and intentional. It's when you take a step back, assess the situation, and choose your words and actions wisely. The difference between the two can determine the outcome of almost any situation in your life. Think about a time when someone said something that made you mad, and you immediately fired back with words you later regretted. In that moment, you reacted. You let the heat of the situation dictate your response. But imagine if, instead, you had taken a second to pause. You had breathed, thought about the consequences, and then responded with a calm, level-headed approach. The situation could have turned out completely different. See, reacting is based on impulse. It's what happens when emotions take control before logic has a chance to step in. And let's be honest, most of the time when we react, we don't think about the long-term effects. We just act in the moment. That's why people say things they don't mean, make decisions they later regret, and turn small problems into big ones. Because reacting without thinking often leads to more damage than the original situation ever could have. Responding, on the other hand, is about control. It's about choosing your words and actions carefully so that you don't make the situation worse. It's about keeping your emotions in check and thinking about the bigger picture. When you respond instead of react, you stay in control of yourself. And that alone gives you an advantage in any situation. Think about highly successful people, leaders, or anyone you respect. Do they explode with anger the second something goes wrong? Do they lash out at every little inconvenience? No. They remain calm. They take a step back, assess the situation, and respond with wisdom. That's not because they don't feel emotions. It's because they've trained themselves to manage them. They've learned that a well thought out response is always more powerful than an emotional reaction. Now, this doesn't mean you should suppress your feelings. It doesn't mean you shouldn't express yourself. It simply means that before you do, you take a moment to think. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this help or hurt the situation? What's the best way to handle this? By doing this, you give yourself time to make a better decision. You stop letting emotions run the show and start handling situations with clarity and confidence. It's a skill that takes practice, but the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you'll notice that you no longer get worked up over things that used to trigger you. You'll see that your relationships improve because you're not saying things in the heat of the moment that you later regret. You'll notice that people respect you more because they see you as someone who stays calm under pressure. At the end of the day, life will test you, people will push your buttons, situations will challenge your patience, but you always have a choice: react in the heat of the moment or respond with wisdom and strength. And when you choose to respond, you don't just control the situation, you control your life. Your peace is one of the most valuable things you own, and yet so many people give it away so easily. They let minor inconveniences, negative people, and uncontrollable situations steal their calm. But here's the truth. If something costs you your peace, it's too expensive. Nothing is worth sacrificing your inner stability. Not an argument, not a petty disagreement, not someone's bad attitude, not even a temporary victory that leaves you feeling drained and frustrated. Think about how much energy you waste when you let things disturb your peace. You stress over things that won't matter a week from now. You replay negative conversations in your mind. You hold on to grudges that only weigh you down. And for what? None of that serves you. None of that adds value to your life. All it does is rob you of the calm and clarity that you need to move forward. Your peace is your power. When you protect it, you think more clearly, make better decisions, and handle life with more grace. But when you let every little thing shake you, you stay in a constant state of stress, anger, or frustration. That's no way to live. Life is too short to be in a battle with everything and everyone around you. Some people will try to pull you into their chaos. They thrive on drama. They want to argue. They want to gossip. They want to see you react. But when you refuse to engage, when you stay centered no matter what's happening around you, you take away their control. You show them that your peace is not up for negotiation. That doesn't mean you ignore problems or avoid conflict when necessary. It simply means you don't let negativity consume you. It means you learn to walk away from arguments that aren't worth your time. It means you stop entertaining people who only bring stress into your life. It means you set boundaries that protect your mental and emotional well-being. One of the biggest lessons in life is realizing that not everything needs your attention. Not every situation needs your reaction. Not every insult needs a response. There is strength in silence. There is wisdom in walking away. There is power in choosing peace over chaos. When you learn to value your peace, you'll notice a shift. You won't get triggered by things that used to bother you. You won't feel the need to prove yourself to people who don't matter. You won't waste energy fighting battles that don't serve you. Instead, you'll find yourself feeling lighter, calmer, and more in control of your life. Because at the end of the day, peace isn't something you find. It's something you create. It's something you choose moment by moment by deciding what deserves your energy and what doesn't. And once you learn to guard it, to cherish it, and to protect it, you'll never let anything or anyone take it away from you again. What you focus on grows. If you constantly focus on problems, negativity, and things that frustrate you, guess what? That's all you'll see. Your mind will always find more reasons to be stressed, angry, or overwhelmed. But if you train yourself to shift your focus, to see solutions instead of problems, to find lessons instead of failures, to appreciate what's good instead of dwelling on what's bad, your entire experience of life will change. The truth is, life is not about what happens to you, it's about how you choose to see it. Two people can go through the exact same situation and have completely different experiences based on what they focus on. One person gets stuck in traffic and spends the whole time fuming, honking, and letting their frustration build up. The other person in the same traffic takes a deep breath, puts on their favorite music, and uses the time to relax or reflect. The situation is the same, but the reactions are different because their focus is different. This applies to every part of life. If you focus on failure, you'll feel discouraged. If you focus on obstacles, you'll feel stuck. If you focus on what's missing, you'll feel like you're never enough. But if you shift your focus to growth, to opportunities, to progress, everything changes. Instead of feeling defeated by challenges, you start seeing them as chances to grow strong. Instead of complaining about what you don't have, you start appreciating what you do. And the more you train yourself to do this, the easier it becomes. Now, I'm not saying to ignore reality. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist. It's about choosing where to direct your energy, because energy flows where attention goes. If you spend all your time focusing on what's wrong, you drain yourself mentally and emotionally. But when you shift your focus to solutions, you empower yourself, you start thinking more clearly, you start taking action instead of wasting time worrying. One of the most powerful ways to shift your focus is through gratitude. No matter how hard life gets, there is always something to be thankful for. When you start each day focusing on what's good, it rewires your brain. You stop taking things for granted. You stop letting small problems ruin your mood. You realize that even in the worst situations, there's still something to appreciate, a lesson, a new perspective, a hidden blessing. Another way to shift your focus is to control what you feed your mind. If you're always consuming negativity, whether it's the news, toxic conversations, or your own negative self-talk, you're programming yourself to see the worst in everything. But when you intentionally fill your mind with positive influences, reading uplifting books, surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, feeding your mind with motivation, you start seeing the world differently. The reality is, life is full of both good and bad. You can choose to focus on what drags you down, or you can choose to focus on what lifts you up. And when you make that shift, when you train yourself to see the possibilities instead of the problems, you don't just change how you feel, you change what's possible for you, because your life will always move in the direction of your focus. So choose wisely. Life is unpredictable. No matter how much you plan, prepare, or try to stay ahead, there will always be things outside of your control. People will disappoint you. Unexpected situations will arise. Some days will go smoothly, and others will feel like everything is falling apart. That's just how life works. But the key to staying calm and grounded isn't in trying to control everything. It's in knowing what's yours to handle and what's better left alone. So many people waste their energy fighting battles they were never meant to fight. They stress over things that can't be changed, overthink situations that are out of their hands, and hold on to frustration over things they'll never be able to fix. And in doing so, they make their lives harder than they need to be. When you try to control everything, all you do is create more stress, more anxiety, and more frustration for yourself. But when you learn to let go of what you can't change, life gets a whole lot easier. Think about it. Can you control other people's opinions? No. Can you control how someone treats you? No. Can you control every little detail of what happens in your life? No. But what can you control? You can control your response. You can control your attitude. You can control how much energy you give to things that drain you, and that's where your power lies. Imagine you're caught in the rain without an umbrella. You have two choices. You can get angry at the weather, complain about how unlucky you are, and let it ruin your day. Or you can accept that the rain is out of your control, find shelter, laugh at the situation, and move on. The rain doesn't change, but your experience of it does. That's what happens when you focus on what you can control instead of stressing over what you can't. This mindset applies to every part of life. If someone is rude to you, you can't control their behavior, but you can control whether or not you let it get under your skin. If something doesn't go according to plan, You can't always change the situation, but you can adjust your attitude and look for solutions instead of getting stuck in frustration. If life throws an unexpected challenge your way, you can't undo what's already happened, but you can decide how you're going to handle it moving forward. The truth is, peace comes from knowing the difference between what's your responsibility and what's not. It's about recognizing that some things are simply not worth your energy. When you learn to release the need to control everything, you free yourself from unnecessary stress. You stop trying to fix people who don't want to change. You stop holding on to situations that are already in the past. You stop letting every inconvenience steal your happiness. That doesn't mean you give up or stop caring. It just means you redirect your focus to the things that actually matter, the things you can influence. You put your energy into growing, learning, and becoming better instead of wasting it on things that drain you. And the moment you start doing that, you'll feel lighter, calmer, and more in control of your own life. Because real power isn't in controlling everything. It's in knowing when to take action and when to let go. Life is full of surprises, and not all of them are pleasant. There will be days when nothing goes as planned, when you make a mistake, when someone lets you down, or when you find yourself in an unexpected situation that leaves you frustrated. But here's the thing. You have a choice in how you handle it. You can stress about it, overthink it, let it ruin your mood, or you can do something powerful. Laugh. Laughter is one of the most underrated tools for staying calm and keeping life in perspective. When you learn to laugh at life, you free yourself from unnecessary stress. You stop taking everything so seriously. You stop letting every little inconvenience feel like a crisis. You remind yourself that most things aren't as big of a deal as they seem in the moment. And most importantly, you give yourself the ability to move forward without carrying negativity with you. Think about the last time something went wrong. Maybe you spilled coffee on yourself right before an important meeting. Maybe you tripped in front of a group of people. Maybe you completely blanked out on what you were supposed to say in a conversation. In the moment, it probably felt embarrassing or frustrating, but now looking back, isn't it kind of funny? That's the magic of laughter. It takes things that feel heavy in the moment and makes them light. It turns setbacks into stories. It transforms stress into something manageable. Now, I'm not saying to laugh at life's serious moments. Some situations require patience, reflection, and even grief. But let's be honest, most of what we stress over on a daily basis isn't life or death. It's small stuff that won't matter a week, a month, or a year from now. And if it won't matter later, why give it the power to ruin your peace now? Laughter is also one of the best ways to keep your emotions in check. When you're faced with a difficult situation, taking a step back and finding humor in it can instantly change your perspective. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of bad luck or circumstances, you start seeing life as an unpredictable adventure. One where unexpected moments make the best memories. Some of the most successful, confident, and peaceful people in the world don't have easy lives. They just know how to handle life's chaos with a sense of humor. They don't break down over every little inconvenience. They don't let embarrassment stop them from moving forward. They laugh at their mistakes, they shrug off awkward moments, and they roll with whatever life throws their way. And because of that, they stay light, resilient, and in control of their own happiness. You ever notice how kids laugh at almost everything? They fall, they laugh. They mess up their words, they laugh. They make a mistake, and 5 seconds later, they've already moved on. That's because they haven't been trained to take life so seriously yet. But as we grow up, we start holding on to things longer. We start overanalyzing, replaying situations in our minds, and letting small things ruin our whole mood. The good news is we can unlearn that. We can remind ourselves that laughter isn't just for kids. It's for anyone who wants to live a life with less stress and more joy. At the end of the day, life is going to be messy. You're going to make mistakes. Plans will fall apart. Unexpected things will happen. And you can either let those moments drain you, or you can laugh, shake it off, and keep going. When you choose laughter, you're choosing peace. You're choosing to let go of unnecessary stress. You're choosing to enjoy life instead of just surviving it. And when you do that, you'll find that even in the toughest moments, there's always something to smile about. Silence is one of the most underrated forms of strength. In a world where everyone is quick to speak, quick to react, and quick to prove a point, the ability to stay quiet, observe, and respond with intention is a rare skill. People often mistake silence for weakness, but in reality, it takes far more power to remain calm and composed than it does to lash out or constantly seek validation through words. Think about the most powerful and respected individuals in history. They weren't the ones who talked the loudest or reacted emotionally to every situation. They were the ones who listened more than they spoke, who chose their words wisely, and who understood that not every battle is worth fighting. There is wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Silence allows you to gather your thoughts, analyze situations, and respond with clarity rather than emotion. Most people don't realize it, but silence is a form of control. When you stay silent, you don't give others the power to manipulate your emotions. You don't allow negativity to pull you into unnecessary conflict. You maintain your peace instead of letting outside forces dictate how you feel. It's easy to react when someone pushes your buttons. It's easy to get defensive when you feel misunderstood. But real strength is in mastering the art of restraint, of knowing that you don't have to explain yourself to everyone, and that some things are simply not worth your energy. There's a saying, a lion doesn't concern itself with the opinion of sheep. A lion doesn't waste its energy roaring at every little disturbance. It moves with confidence, choosing when to exert its power and when to conserve it. The same principle applies to life. The more you engage in meaningless arguments, the more you allow distractions to drain you. But when you choose silence, you maintain your strength. You show that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. Silence also makes people uncomfortable, especially those who thrive on drama. When someone is trying to provoke you, they expect a reaction. They want you to argue, to get emotional, to engage in their negativity. But when you respond with silence, you take away their power. They can't argue with someone who refuses to engage. They can't control someone who remains unmoved by their words. Your silence becomes your shield, protecting your energy and keeping you in control of the situation. Beyond conflict, silence is also a tool for personal growth. It allows you to reflect, to think deeply, and to understand yourself better. In a world filled with noise, social media opinions, endless debates, constant distractions, those who take the time to be silent and listen are the ones who gain real wisdom. They observe instead of react. They learn instead of assume. They grow instead of staying stuck in old patterns. Silence also speaks volumes. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. When someone disrespects you, your silence tells them you're above their negativity. When someone doubts you, your silence allows your success to be your response. When life gets chaotic, your silence helps you center yourself and navigate challenges with a clear mind. Many people fear silence because they associate it with weakness, passivity, or lack of confidence. But true confidence doesn't need to argue every point or prove every opinion. It simply exists, steady and unshaken. When you master silence, you master yourself. You gain control over your emotions, your reactions, and your energy. And in that control, you find a level of strength that few people ever reach. Silence is a powerful force, one that is often misunderstood in a world that values loud voices, quick responses, and constant engagement. Many people assume that silence is a sign of weakness, a lack of confidence, or an inability to express oneself. But in reality, silence is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. It is a tool of wisdom, self-control, and inner peace. It is the mark of someone who does not allow the noise of the world to dictate their energy, their emotions, or their decisions. There is great power in choosing when to speak and when to remain silent. Most people talk simply to fill the space, to prove a point, or to make themselves feel heard. But those who understand the strength of silence know that not every situation requires a response. Not every argument is worth engaging in. Not every challenge needs to be met with words. Silence is a form of discipline, a practice of patience, and a strategy for maintaining control over one's thoughts and actions. Silence allows you to observe rather than react, In moments of conflict, those who can remain silent instead of jumping to defend themselves or retaliate with words are often the ones who maintain the upper hand. When you don't react emotionally, you maintain control over yourself and the situation. You give yourself time to process, to analyze, and to decide on the best course of action instead of acting impulsively. People who can master silence know that sometimes the best response is no response at all. Not only does silence give you control over conflicts, but it also gives you power over your own mind. In a world filled with constant distractions, social media, news, opinions, and endless chatter, those who embrace silence create space for clarity and deeper thinking. Silence allows you to hear yourself, to reflect on your goals, your values, and your purpose. It gives you the opportunity to separate yourself from the noise and focus on what truly matters. Those who can sit in silence without needing external validation or stimulation are often the ones who have the strongest sense of self. Many people fear silence because it forces them to face themselves. It removes the distractions and exposes the thoughts they have been avoiding. But the strongest individuals are those who embrace silence, who use it to understand themselves better, and who allow it to be a source of strength rather than discomfort. They know that silence is where real growth happens. It is where wisdom is cultivated. It is where true power is found. Silence also makes people uncomfortable, especially those who rely on drama and constant validation. When someone expects an argument and is met with silence instead, they are left with nothing to feed off of. When people try to provoke a reaction and receive none, they lose their ability to control the situation. Silence forces others to confront themselves, to reflect on their own words and actions instead of being caught in a back and forth exchange of emotions. This is why silence is so powerful. It shifts the balance of control. Beyond personal interactions, silence is a tool for success. The most successful people don't spend their time talking about their plans, arguing over minor things, or proving themselves to everyone. They move in silence, they focus on their work, and they let their actions speak for them. They understand that energy wasted on unnecessary conversations and distractions is energy taken away from their true purpose. They know that sometimes the best way to make an impact is not through words, but through quiet determination and consistent effort. There is a reason why the wisest individuals throughout history have been known for their ability to remain silent. They listen more than they speak. They observe more than they react. They use silence as a tool to understand, to strategize, and to protect their energy. They know that silence is not a sign of passivity, but rather a sign of immense strength. When you learn to embrace silence, you become unshakable. You stop reacting to every little thing. You stop feeling the need to explain yourself to those who won't understand. You stop wasting your energy on things that do not serve you. Instead, you move with purpose, with wisdom, and with a quiet confidence that speaks louder than any words ever could. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the ability to control your emotions, to rise above the noise, and to protect your energy. It is knowing that not everything deserves your reaction, and that sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is to say nothing at all. When you master silence, you master yourself. You become unshaken by the opinions of others, unfazed by negativity, and unbothered by things that are not worth your time. You gain clarity, confidence, and control over your own peace. So the next time life challenges you, the next time someone tries to provoke you, or the next time you feel the urge to react impulsively, take a breath and embrace the power of silence. Because in that silence lies your strength, your wisdom, and your ultimate power.